Hi, welcome to Asian American Life. I'm Ernabel Demillo. This season, we're taking a look at what's hot in lifestyle trends, plus interviews with some Asian American creators who are changing arts and entertainment. Now, let's take a look at what's ahead.
Greener commute. Paul Lin shares how bamboo bikes help the economy and environment. Diversity gap. I learn why museums aren't making the grade. Kyung Yoon meets Broadway's newest rising star. And Minnie Rowe bops to the beat of K-pop.
To learn more about this show, like our Facebook page at Asian American Life. We start today's show with a hot transportation trend, and the best part, it's greening our communities.
I'm Paul Lin in Prospect Park, Brooklyn. We're visiting with the Filipino-American founder of Bambike. He relocated to the Philippines to make bamboo bikes that are both socially responsible and kind to the environment.
When I ride around personally, it's fun because there's a curiosity at the very least when people see a bamboo bike.
That's because you don't see a lot of bamboo bikes on the road. Bambike aims to change that for an increasingly eco-friendly market. Bamboo is a building material that absorbs CO2 as it grows, produces roughly a third more oxygen than trees, and grows back in 3 to 5 years after it's cut.
Well, it's arguably the greenest building material on the planet. Compared to wood, bamboo it's a grass, so it's not technically a tree. Meaning when you harvest or when you cut the bamboo poles, it's actually just like cutting your grass.
Bambike's road and mountain bikes use bamboo for the frame and a natural fiber native to the Philippines to bind the tubes together.
We use the bamboo poles, which each bike frame takes 7 poles. We use abaca fiber, which is also known as Manila hemp, which was previously used as marine-grade rope, soaked out in a resin to lash the joints, and those form a structural bond.
And it's strong. Brian has called it strong as steel and light as aluminum, and it absorbs bumps better than carbon fiber.
It's a supple and plush ride of sorts. It was stiff enough to really be able to crank on if you're going up a mountain or climbing a hill, but it's forgiving in that the bamboo is naturally shock absorbing.
Using green materials in bikes is just one part of Bambike's 3-part philosophy: people, planet, progress. Social responsibility is the people part. Bambike takes care of its Filipino employees and their communities.
We're sponsoring the Cebu school teacher, which is a preschool teacher, as well as a weekly feeding program because malnourishment is a big problem within the youth.
As for progress, Brian wants to make sure his company has a higher goal than just profits.
We believe that pushing the green economy forward is imperative. And while profits are required for us to operate as a business, they're not the primary driving force. It really has to be a people, planet, progress for us to move forward.
Brian evolved his business philosophy over a number of years. He earned a master's in environmental resource management from the University of Pennsylvania. His thesis on sustainable community development focused on Gawad Kalinga, a program that seeks to improve housing and end poverty in the Philippines. Around the same time, he learned of an initiative in Ghana that built bamboo bikes combating unemployment and climate change. Eventually, he had his idea.
It made a lot of sense that I create something that could possibly help transportation issues, unemployment, natural resource management, and that's frankly just a lot of fun.
It all came together after Brian moved to the Philippines, at first really to get back in touch with his Filipino heritage.
My mom being Filipina, we've gone back and forth to travel since I was a kid, but we never spent more than a summer or a Christmas there. So I'd always been curious about really exploring my Filipino-ness and seeing what the country was about, seeing who I was, what my roots were.
So after he graduated from UPenn, he took time to explore the Philippines to be with his grandmother and his cousins.
I really am kind of Filipino at heart, and I identified a lot with certain aspects of the culture. One of them being the spirit of the bayanihan, which is really working together as a community for the collective good.
These days, Brian is doing a lot of that through his company and its practice of People, Planet, Progress. His company is still ramping up production. He employs 15 full-time workers and maybe another 15 between bamboo farmers and processors. Bambike makes about 30 frames a month and has produced about 400 complete bicycles since 2010. Bambike actually has a following among a number of global leaders, from President Obama to other heads of state.
The Prime Minister of France, Prime Minister of New Zealand, the Sultan of Brunei, President of Indonesia.
Pretty select company for a bike that you can buy online for about $1,700. Brian says it's a competitive price if you look at other bamboo bikes on the market, but one of his goals is to make more bikes at a lower price point.
We want to have complete bikes for under $1,000, and then who knows, at scale, we hope to be able to make bamboo bikes people can afford.
In the meantime, Brian has plans to expand his Eco Tours venture, which uses Bambikes for guided bike tours.
We have Bambike Eco Tours in Intramuros, which is the old city in Manila, which is the old Spanish fortress. And we're looking to expand into other tourism destinations across the Philippines. And then who knows, maybe we'll end up here in Prospect Park one day.
Brian Benitez McClellan has big plans for bamboo that go beyond bicycles. He's got a prototype bamboo house coming out and ideas for other building applications that make good use of the Philippines' abundant and sustainable bamboo forest. I'm Paul Lin for Asian American Life.
A new study finds that the workforce at museums and art groups don't reflect the diverse communities they serve. Here's more.
Sacred space, which is our music collection.
Mi Yang-soon from the Rubin Museum of Art is preparing the parents from the Little Star School in Chinatown for their visit to the museum. They are part of the Family Explorers Club, one of several programs run by the nonprofit arts organization Cool Culture.
Cool Culture's mission is to bring these underserved communities out to explore the different cultural institutions that New York City has to offer. We have so many gorgeous museums and zoos and gardens that we feel like everyone should have a chance to explore.
New York has some of the most diverse cultural organizations in the world, from high-profile museums to smaller neighborhood community groups like this one. It seems the city has something for everyone. But a recent study revealed that the workforce inside some of New York's most prestigious art institutions, from staff members to curators to directors to board members, don't reflect the communities they serve. And that, many say, needs to change.
It's important for the staff of arts and cultural organizations to be diverse because we all have different life experiences that we bring to our workplace. And we have different backgrounds, and we have different perspectives, and we have different passions and different levels of awareness.
Andrea Louie, Executive Director of the Asian American Arts Alliance, was an advisor on the study conducted by New York's Department of Cultural Affairs in an effort to help arts organizations connect with New York's multicultural population. The study revealed the workforce at city-funded nonprofit cultural organizations is more than 60% white. Whites make up 33% of New York City's population. Blacks, Hispanics, and Asian make up 67%. When you look at leadership roles, the numbers change dramatically. Whites hold close to 80% of the leadership roles. At museums, 85% of the 218 leaders in the survey checked off white. Nationally, that number is about the same according to the American Alliance of Museums. So what is keeping minority groups, Blacks, Latinos, and Asians from these positions? Low salaries for entry-level jobs may be one reason. In the AAPI community, there are also other reasons.
There's a stigma in Asian American communities to pursue careers in the arts. It's not perceived to be economically viable. It's not perceived to be a measure of success.
One organization that is trying to do just that is Cool Culture. In diverse neighborhoods like Harlem and Chinatown, they are training parents to be what you can call cultural ambassadors to the city's art organizations. It all begins by breaking down some of the perceived barriers.
Often museum professionals who really do want to broaden their audience experience barriers to doing so. And so we're providing people with opportunities to get to know one another, both in the communities in which they live, and then to bring those communities to the art institutions.
Cool Culture partners with 90 cultural institutions and 400 preschool programs. It's more than just free access to museums. They help parents, many who are new immigrants, understand the art space. Parents even get a chance to do a little artwork themselves. And Cool Culture is doing more than just helping families and their young children. It's also breaking down barriers for their employees too, like Melissa Zhang.
I've always loved art. I've been studying art since I was 8 years old, and I wanted to give back. And so I wanted to get into art making, family engagement within the Asian American community, and this was just such a perfect fit.
Zhang is part of the slowly growing community of AAPIs working in the arts, and she may be inspiring the next generation.
I hope that just seeing a presence of me, my colleague Diana, not just myself, but to see the diversity of these Asian American women working in the art field really changes that conversation of what you can be in the future.
For Asian American Life, I'm Ernabel Demillo.
The Broadway musical The King and I closed after 538 performances and many accolades, including 5 Tony Awards. Kyung Yoon reports on how this musical also made history in another way.
Set in Thailand in the 1800s when the country was called Siam, The King and I is one of few Broadway musicals that offers a starring platform for Asian American actors like Ken Watanabe and most recently Daniel Day Kim, who have all played the title role of the King of Siam in this Lincoln Center production.
When the last little star has left the sky.
But the other leading role of Anna Leonowens, the schoolteacher to the children of the Siamese king, has always been played by a white actress. That is, until 2016, when an Asian American understudy named Ann Sanders took the stage in the title role.
When I initially auditioned for the show, I didn't even think that that would be a possibility, but our director, our fearless director, Bartlett Sher, came to me one day and he said, "What do you think about covering Mrs. Anna?" And I immediately got excited and nervous, and then that quickly turned to gratitude.
Sanders filled in for the legendary star Kelly O'Hara in 3 historic performances in April, and following O'Hara's departure from the show, the role of Anna was filled by the Broadway star Marin Mazzie.
This cast, the night that I went on for Mrs. Anna, they called places or 5 minutes, and I came out of my dressing room and everybody was lined up in their hallways out of the dressing room cheering me on to go to the stage.
Having an Asian American play Anna, a role that was written for a white person, brings the musical full circle from the days when a non-Asian actor like Yul Brynner portrayed the Siamese king. It is especially significant in light of the growing controversy about the lack of diversity in Hollywood and Broadway, and the continued practice of casting white actors in roles that would be more appropriately played by an actor of color.
People might get upset saying, well, why doesn't it go the other way? Why can't we see a white king? But there is an imbalance at the moment, and there aren't many roles written for men in the theater. I can think of The Engineer in Miss Saigon, perhaps Pacific Overtures, and The King and I. So when extraordinary places like Lincoln Center decide to do a show like that, you want to give those opportunities to those people who do not receive them normally.
Born and raised in Chicago to a Korean mother and an American father, Sanders says growing up, she knew what it felt like to not fit in.
One year, my dad took me to register for school. My dad is white, he's of Polish descent, and he checked off the box that I was white. And the next year, my mom took me to school and registered me and checked off the box that I was Asian. And the next year, it went back and forth, and finally they called and said, now, which one is she? You have to delineate and put her in a box. And my mom answered the phone and she said, she's both, you need a new box, and she hung up.
Sanders says that acting provided a way for her to break out of traditional boxes. Her Broadway credits include roles in Avenue Q, If Then, and playing the title role of Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
I remember coming out of the stage door one time, and many children would come, and there was a little Asian girl dressed up in the bell gown, and she immediately ran up to me and hugged me just so tight. And I think kids in general don't care what we look like. They remember how you made them feel.
Do you see yourself as a trailblazer?
I don't think that. I think that I'm just so grateful to have been given the opportunities to play these extraordinary women. When I think of trailblazers, I think of Anna Lee and Owens going over to Siam in the 1800s and fearlessly trying to incite change. And I hope a lot of that bravery rubs off on me, and that I can go out and do that here in New York City.
And Sanders says she sees this experience as not only having others open new doors for her as an Asian American performer, but opening her own mind to embrace new possibilities. I'm Kyung Yoon for Asian American Life.
I'm Minnie Rowe. If you've never heard the term Kpop, you may want to take note of this fast-growing sensation. Kpop stands for Korean pop, and it may surprise you to learn that the fans are not just limited to Koreans and Asians, but hail from all four corners of the world.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
For many of you, this may be the only K-pop song you know. Psy's Gangnam Style took the world by storm several years ago, becoming the first Korean song to climb the Billboard charts to reach #2, and practically broke the internet with 2.5 billion views on YouTube to date. But this is the K-pop that most diehard fans are swooning over. Groups made up of several attractive women or men with killer dance moves, belting out catchy songs while sporting the latest trendy fashions in highly produced music videos. In addition to being all the rage in South Korea, K-pop also has a huge following in the rest of Asia, Europe, the Middle East, North and South America, even Africa. On the surface, it may appear that there's no difference between K-pop and American pop, which also has an abundance of attractive women and men with killer dance moves who wear trendy clothes. But K-pop tends to focus less on the solo artist and more on the group as a whole, the precisely synchronized choreography, the total package. Devoted fans like Jasmine Green say they also love it because the K-pop idols, as the singers are called, feel more accessible. She says she discovered K-pop by accident after a friend declared that he looked like an idol. She began browsing through YouTube videos, and before she knew it, she was hooked.
When I first got into it, I thought it was just flashy, good-looking people, something I'd seen before. But then, I got more into it. They show more dedication to their work. It's not just singing to look good. They practice really hard. They travel. They give their fans more service. They put 100% effort. That's why I love them.
Green grew up in a small town in central Virginia, went to college in Ohio, so she didn't know anything about Korea prior to discovering K-pop. She doesn't speak a word of Korean, but that doesn't stop her from singing and dancing along.
It made me realize there's other places, there's other cultures, there's more that we can know, more that we can learn. So I think K-pop a lot of people expand what they think about other cultures.
DJ MacGyver is also a big K-pop fan, but he takes his love of K-pop one step further by taking lessons at I Love Dance, a studio devoted to teaching students the exact choreography of hit K-pop songs.
That kind of opened up the gates to everything else about the culture that was interesting or that kind of piqued our interest, and then food and clothing and makeup and all of it, it just kind of all funnels down.
It's about fashion, what they wear, and the music itself, and then the dance, all the trend, they put it together as a whole package.
MJ Choi is the owner and main instructor of I Love Dance. She says when she opened the studio in 2006, her clientele was 100% Korean. Now she says it's 90-10, the 90 being non-Korean and non-Asian.
I've seen a lot of students, they come in without knowing actually what Korea is about. They basically say, okay, for example, oh, Super Junior, I love the guy in that group. Oh, he's cute. I love his dance. I love his move. From there, people started getting to know more about Korea. And oh, okay, I think he wears clothes from this company. Or, oh, I saw him in the drama acting as this person. They were eating chimek and they learned like Korean food.
In the past several years, the Korean government has also begun to take note of the power of K-pop as a way to engage huge numbers of people, particularly the youth across the world. The Korean Cultural Center in New York says that K-pop is the leading exporter of Korean content, followed by Korean cuisine, film, and fashion.
And a recent study commissioned by the Korean government shows the so-called soft power of K-pop is a boon to the South Korean economy. The latest export numbers, due to the popularity of Hallyu, or the Korean wave, translates into over $7 billion in cultural content, tourism, goods, and related services. Given the global appeal of K-pop, can the argument be made that just like rap or hip-hop or R&B, K-pop has the potential to be a music genre in its own right that transcends racial stereotypes and not just limited to music that is performed by Koreans from Korea? That's where these guys come in.
안녕하세요. We are EXP.
EXP, comprised of all non-Koreans, is a group trying to break into the K-pop market. EXP, which is short for Experiment, was the brainchild of Bora Kim and two of her peers. Originally, it began as a thesis project for Kim's Masters of Fine Arts at Columbia University.
K-pop is highly influenced by American pop. It is hard to pinpoint what is really Korean in K-pop, but it became something that represents Korea. And I thought that was a very interesting and important thing to notice and really think about what that means.
Could this group of guys, who had no ties to Korea, knew nothing about K-pop or Korea for that matter, successfully transform themselves into K-pop idols? Kim set out to teach them the language, the culture, the look.
At the beginning of the project, Karen, Sam, and I, we're a team, and we really tried to forcefully educate them what K-pop is. And we even had a workshop called Cuteness Workshop and show them how K-pop idol groups act and how they perform masculinity, which is very different from Western masculinity.
Their big break came the day before the thesis presentation, where they would perform their original single, Love Wrong. One of the guys posted the video of their song online, and the rest, as they say, is history.
We got a random shout out on Instagram, and so we woke up to like thousands of comments and thousands likes and whatnot, and then it just like everything changed. Then we started doing these, we started writing more music, and we were like, we can do this. This is something completely different, something so fresh.
The group admits that at first, not all the comments were positive. Some were downright hateful. Surprisingly, they say it came more from the non-Korean fans than the Koreans.
We're never going to be Korean. We know we know that. So people, the constant comments that we get are in all different languages are, "You're not Korean," and we're like, "That's the point."
You don't have the K in K-pop.
Yeah. So, but also on the flip side of that, it's nice because you, like Koki said, you get all these comments and all these people that are kind of, they realize that we're not here to make fun of or copy any of their favorite groups or steal their thunder. Ideally, we like to create our own space in that world if they'd be so nice to let us do that. And yeah, it's hard, it's different, it's fun, but yeah, we're here to do our own thing.
Most of the Korean people that we meet at our shows or that like write to us, they talk about how amazing this is and they think it's so wonderful and we can't wait for you to come to Seoul.
Slowly but surely, EXP created some buzz, performing in several venues across New York, including the High Line, Queens Museum, and Museum of Modern Art. They're planning to visit Korea in the summer of 2016, where they hope to make a big splash on the home turf. It's been a bumpy road, but the group says they are motivated to keep going on. And as K-pop's popularity continues to rise on the world stage, only time will tell if more groups like EXP emerge, further blurring musical, social, and cultural lines.
We know it, we need it to feel like this.
I'm Minnie Rowe for Asian American Life.
That's our show for now. If you want to learn more about our stories, you can like our Facebook page at Asian American Life. I'm Ernabel Demillo. We'll see you next time.